Holy smokes, everyone, it has officially begun. The EU has cut off Russia from the Swiss system. They have frozen Russia's central bank assets. They're going after the largest financial institutions in Russia and Russian oligarchs, and this is causing panic, and people are saying there's going to be huge amounts of bank runs on Monday. So everyone, this is huge. This is the first major economy to be shut off from SWIFT, and we don't know what the full consequences are going to be yet, but we do have some ideas, and this won't just affect Russia and Europe. This will have big consequences for all of us. So everyone, what exactly is the EU doing? Will the consequences be for Russia's central bank assets being frozen? Let's get into it.
I will now propose to EU leaders the following measures. First, we commit to ensuring that a certain number of Russian banks are removed from SWIFT. This will ensure that these banks are disconnected from the international financial system and harm their ability to operate globally. SWIFT is the world's dominant global interbank payment system. Cutting banks off will stop them from conducting most of their financial transactions worldwide and effectively block Russian exports and imports. Second, we will stop Putin from using his war chest. We will paralyze the assets of Russia's central bank. This will freeze its transactions, and it will make it impossible for the central bank to liquidate assets. And finally, we will work to prohibit Russian oligarchs from using their financial assets on our markets.
So to put it simply and quickly summarize what she said there, they're going to be effectively banning Russia imports and exports. They're going to paralyze Russia's central bank assets, and they're also going to go after Russian oligarch billionaires' assets as well. But it's not quite that simple, everyone. This is going to have huge consequences for Europe and also the rest of the world. So let's break down exactly what this means for you and me and what the effects are going to be. Look at this, everybody. US, EU cut some of Russian banks from SWIFT, and they also target the central bank. But listen to this. More penalties against the bank could come this weekend, according to the US official. Russia has about $640 billion in reserves. Now, Russia has been trying to protect themselves against this risk by holding gold at their central bank, but they still have about $400 billion in reserves that are going to be frozen. And this is what it's going to lead to. This would likely lead to massive bank runs and dollarization, with a sharp sell-off, drain in reserves, possibly a full-on collapse of Russia's financial system. So what this means is the worst case scenario possible is now likely to come. We're going to see Russia's economy completely collapse. We're going to see panic on Monday in Russia. We're going to see people have a run on the banks. We're going to see people try to get into the dollar. And it's still not yet fully known how much other banks have exposure to Russia and Russia's economy, and the consequences this is going to have on the rest of the world. And Bill Ackman has done a tweet, and who knows, he's probably shorting the Russian banks, so just take this with a grain of salt. But I do agree with him here. I wouldn't want to keep money in a bank that can't access the Swiss system. Once a bank can't transfer or receive funds from other banks, its solvency can be at risk. If I were Russian, I would take my money out now. Bank runs could begin in Russia on Monday. And that's exactly what's happening. Look at this. Russia's credit rating has been cut to junk by S&P. It's not clear how severe the central bank restrictions will be, but they're likely to limit Russia's ability to draw on its credit lines at the IMF, and it may affect its ability to access about $20 billion believed to be at the Bank of International Settlements, an institution popularly known as the central bank of central banks. And remember, this economy and this banking system relies on debt and relies on credit. Yes, Russia has very low debt, but if it wants to continue to fuel this conflict that's going on in Ukraine right now, it's going to be at a disadvantage if it can't access the credit markets. So Russia has been steadily reducing its reliance on foreign currency, but its central bank still had 16.4% of its holding in dollars at the end of June 2021. And we can see this chart here. Russia's central bank has moved into euros and yuan, and it's been dumping its US dollar holdings. So if I was you, and somehow you are watching this from Russia, or if you have family in Russia, I would be telling them to get their money out of the banks right now. But Putin may start to become unpopular with his oligarchs and billionaire friends because they're now coming after them as well. So Saturday's agreement includes establishing a task force to identify and freeze assets of Russian oligarchs, government officials and companies that include yachts, jets, cars and luxury apartments in the West that belong to Russian billionaires. And some people thought maybe China would come there to bail out Russia or to give some assistance to Russia, but we're starting to see China take a step back as well. Listen to this. nor can Russia necessarily count on Chinese financial institutions to cushion the blow of Western penalties. Despite increased diplomacy between Moscow and Beijing, at least two of China's largest state-owned banks are restricting financing for purchases of Russian commodities, Bloomberg reported on Friday. But you're probably wanting to know, okay, well, what does this mean for me in simple terms? Well, everyone, what have we seen around the world? We've seen surging fuel and gas prices. So what this simply means is the price at the pump is about to get much more expensive, and also heating your home is going to get much more expensive, especially in Europe. And like I always try to do, I try to look at the bigger picture and look at what domino effects will this cause on the global economy or on other businesses. This is what is going to trigger everyone. European industry faces shrink or shut decisions on energy pain. We're already seeing massive amounts of companies go bankrupt from these rising energy costs. Or simply, these rising energy costs are making business unprofitable. And this is what Goldman Sachs has said. An analysis said prolonged price increases will force some industry producers to shrink their productions or shutter. And what normally happens when oil and gas prices skyrocket, it creates weaker demand and could bring us into recession. This is why world leaders have been so hesitant to do this, because it's not just going to affect Russia, this is going to affect everyone. Because look what this is now starting to do to companies like BlackRock and Vanguard. BlackRock, Vanguard grapple with sanctions on Russia's securities. Fund managers have until May 25th to find buyers for assets, so even though the markets have rebounded over the past couple of days, we may have to see during the next week what effects these sanctions are going to have on the global economy. So everyone, that was just a quick update. What do you think? Let me know. Now, for my loyal viewers and subscribers still watching, you're awesome. If you're interested and want to get up to 5 free stocks with Moomoo worth $3,500 when you deposit $100, I'll put a link in the description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.